Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey there, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle back with you again. It's about 10:10, and we'll talk about your forecast for tomorrow and also for the remainder of tonight. So thanks for joining me. Been a long day. Still is a long day. That's okay. That's what I do, right? Let's see here. Make sure everybody's up and running. Make sure you guys on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook are good. Rumble, man, I don't know what's going on with Rumble servers. They keep failing on me. I've tried 3 times today, and they're just not working. They're still having some growing pains, so they're not quite, YouTube caliber. So they got some problems. As long as they don't mess me up, we'll be good. Okay, so let's move on here to a view outside. Earlier I saw some lightning in the background out of the corner of my eye. 82 degrees. Got the remnants of that stuff that was over western Oklahoma kind of moving closer into the metro. We're going to see some storms developing on top of us anyway as we go through time here for the remainder of tonight. So what I want to show you are a couple things here. So let's do this. So here's a look at the current radar view. So we have storms up across northwest Oklahoma, Woodward, Freedom, Arnett, Harmon, you guys, just typical stuff, little wind, little hail, borderline severe at times. But then down here in southwest Oklahoma, this dude has been nothing but trouble. So it just blew through Frederick, and we did have some winds up around, on radar estimates anyway, up around 70 miles per hour. So some damaging winds that moved through Frederick. Now earlier, if you didn't miss my last broadcast, up around Tipton, from there to the northwest toward Humphreys, we measured 120 mile per hour winds on radar. That was ridiculous. So that's like an EF2 type criteria for a tornado. I mean, that kind of strong winds, anything over 110 miles per hour, you're in the EF2 category. So that was a serious situation for some damaging winds. The good news, and I do mean good news, was that it was over a bunch of farmland. I mean, there was absolutely nothing out there for those damaging winds to hit. So that was the good news. And the storm is much weaker now than it was back then. So that will continue to be the case here. I think that was the most that storm can do, and that is now gone. So let's move on then to what's currently happening. We've got some 70s and 80s out there across the state. 60s out across western Oklahoma. The wind speeds have, of course, calmed down quite a bit now, comparatively speaking, over the last few days. You can see those gusts up to around 70 down here in southwest Oklahoma. So here's a look at the wind gusts so far for today. So there's the mid-70s down here and some 60s up here in western Oklahoma. These are from the actual storms themselves. The rest of the winds out there across state were just from a typical windy day. Drought conditions out west needed the rain, so the good news is we got the rain right in this bullseye of red, and even the ongoing currently in red. So how about that? Both of these areas are going to get knocked down, obliterated just from one night alone. Here's a look at the infrared satellite picture, which shows you the cluster of storms all the way from eastern Kansas back into Wichita, on into northwest Oklahoma, and then back into the southern Texas panhandle. They're still going, so there's still more storms to go. And we'll have more of that coming through tonight. The Storm Prediction Center has kind of focused the severe weather aspect out here across southwest Oklahoma on into the Texas panhandle. The tornado threat was for earlier today along that cold frontal boundary. Things have kind of changed now in that regard for the remainder of tonight. So just be a little bit of wind and hail overnight. But that is the look at the latest risk here zoomed in across the state. All right, so let's see. Still a risk overnight in northeast Oklahoma, but pretty low. And then on tomorrow, same kind of idea. We'll have a risk of severe weather here across central, southern Oklahoma, as long as that cold front is still pretty active. I do believe it will be. Now, the difference is today from tomorrow is the jet stream pattern will be a little bit different. So the upper level low, as we go through time into tomorrow morning, has a lot of energy moving through Oklahoma. and kind of exits the state by late afternoon. And believe it or not, that will actually trigger our first round of storms. We do have some more energy that comes in during the evening hours. That'll be another wave that'll move through southern Oklahoma. Then our jet stream goes into a northwesterly flow, and we'll have disturbances that rotate around the top side of that. So there's something coming in on Friday. So will that produce a couple of storms? I don't know. We'll see. And then the weekend, there's another round that comes in for Saturday. So we still have a chance for some more storms throughout the period here. All right, so as far as instability is concerned, tomorrow, here's a look at the CAPE and the shear values, and it's going to be mostly focused along the I-40 corridor, southern Oklahoma, up toward Tulsa, northeast Oklahoma. So kind of like basically where that front washes out and puts the brakes on, which is basically on the I-44 corridor up here, maybe between there and I-40, and then back toward I-40 out to the west, and then kind of dips down to the south and west. Now, if I plot a cursor down here in the juice, where it's plenty of instability, just kind of give you an idea of what's on the table. I know there's some. The one I picked earlier had hail up around 4 inches in diameter. Let's see if I can find that one again. I'm not so sure where I picked. It just depends on where you pick on the map. Yeah, there's one there. It says 4 inches in diameter. So we could be dealing with some big hail again tomorrow across the southern half of Oklahoma. Some of these stronger supercell storms. The metro, it's kind of interesting. You're kind of caught in between systems. So here's a look. Let me do this real quick. Let's see. Let me draw it with this guy here. So if we look here, here's the kind of the front according to one model. Kind of has it something like this. So this is by 6 o'clock in the evening. So this will be your threat for severe weather be pushed southward as that front kind of continues to sag to the south because of storms we'll have in the morning hours during the first part of the day. So that means late afternoon and evening, the new threat will be down along this front, kind of in this zone here for the remainder of Wednesday night. All right, so that's a look at where the dew point map is. It kind of highlights where the cold front is. And let's go to the actual rainfall outputs from the models. So as we step this through time, of course, we've got the storms that continue out southwest now. They should continue to develop and expand eastward into the metro area, probably right around midnight or so, and points out to the west and southwest. So it'll be a stormy, bumpy night overnight with showers and storms, heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning. There's going to be pockets, a little wind, a little hail with this. You can see more storms kind of develop out to our north and west. Here it's 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. This is remember all that energy in the jet stream pattern? It kind of comes in a little early, so it forces this little squall line to move through during the first part of our day across northern Oklahoma. So there's noontime tomorrow to 1 o'clock, and you can see how most of the storms anchor from I-40 on up to the north and east. And that's kind of the kicker, because what this will do is it'll shove that front effectively down to the south. It'll kind of stabilize Oklahoma City a little bit more than otherwise what you would have been if the front's just off to say our north or just right on top of us. So the more rain we can get in the morning hours, the heavier those storms are, the more that boundary can sag to the south. But you can see by late afternoon and evening, still some rough stuff around Lawton, points south and west, kind of where they're getting hit today, and then down to southern Oklahoma, all the way into North Texas during the early part of the evening, and that moves on into North Texas. And they're still getting more rain after that. It's still raining all the way into Thursday morning, and it's finally wraps up, looks like early Thursday morning. A few sprinkles and that's it. But my goodness, what an outcome, right? Okay, so amounts are all over the place as usual with rainfall, but the take home here is to spot these areas in yellow where there's as much as 5 or 6 inches of rainfall in some of these models. Here it's got, inch and a half here in Oklahoma City, for example. But here's another one. It's got a big bullseye out here of 5 inches plus. Here's another one here. This one actually was the best model of choice to capture that stuff out in western Oklahoma. It has quite a bit of rain tonight and tomorrow across the central Oklahoma, to around 7 inches of rain. So that's ridiculous as well. This one also likes those little bullseyes are scattered out and about. Here's one, same idea. Here's another, same idea. So there's a blend of a conservative amount, which won't be right because you saw what happens in these storms. Those ones we measured earlier this evening, 5 inches, upper north of Clinton, northwest of there, in those supercell storms. So, it's hard to pick a particular model because none of them get it right. You just have to see what the take-home is. And the take-home is you'll be spots of flash flooding where these storms will train over one another in our general area. So that's The good news is we get rain. The bad news is some cases we get too much of it. Temperatures, well, how about 70s now for tomorrow here in Oklahoma City, and also for Thursday, Friday as well. Then the weekend we're going to warm up, got the 80s, and then we're kind of holding into the mid to upper 80s mostly. Overnight lows getting into the upper 60s and to near 70. So it's starting to get a little bit more on the warm and humid side at night. All right, so we're going to look at the radar view, just glance over at the Weather Service. They were chatting about something down here in southwest Oklahoma for a new tornado warning that would go up near Indiahoma. So here's a look at that. It's going to be for a QLCS type tornado. So this is what the radar looks like right now. So it's a good strong outbound, a little moderately weak inbound, but it'll do the trick. Let's see, East Road 1700 on, looks like the County Line Road. Between Tillman and Comanche. So if you live out in that area, you have a potential tornado in your backyard. If we zoom in, just like the other ones, it is over open farmland. So it's this currently not affecting anyone. There is a little bit, looks like maybe a farmhouse or two, homestead in its path, at least on the north end of its path. Outside of that, I don't see any other homesteads. So that's some good news. So it's again mostly over open terrain where it can't harm anybody. So, but that would be the latest on a tornado warning that just came out. And I'll read you the specifics on that. So let's back this up here. Let's see. Well, that's not going to have it. So we'll go to this one. Let's see. Tornado warning goes until 10:45. Just radar indicated. It's not spot or confirmed. But it's going to affect Cache, Indiahoma, southwestern Fort Sill, and southwestern Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge. This will go, and let's see, to the east, northeast at about 25 miles per hour. Now, in some of these, we've had some hail. It's been pretty significant. This particular warning was focused on the tornado aspect and not necessarily the hail aspect, but I figured golf ball size is possible, even though it looks like right down here, max hail size of only 0.75 inches. So we shall see. It has transitioned over from more of hailstorms to more wind events for tonight. Actually, there was a map I wanted to show you that I don't think I selected earlier, and I don't know what happened. So let me go back and find that, and then I'll go back to the radar. So where was my wind map? Hold on just a second. Where was it? I think maybe I didn't. Let's see. I'm going to get there eventually. There it was. Okay. So this was the point I wanted to drive home was, you see where these, in the model data, these little brown areas, so these winds up around, that's 78, 85 miles per hour, 87, right? So how about that? The short-term model actually did pretty decent at picking up this damaging wind within this cluster of storms in southwest Oklahoma. Now, again, we measured 120, so it's a little light, but hey, not bad seeing data up around 87. So at least it knew kind of what was going on. So the take home is to watch as we go through time. So here's 11 o'clock, midnight. Look at these winds blow up here over central Oklahoma. So there'll be some spots of some damaging wind overnight where you see the brown areas. And the models won't know the exact spot, although they did get lucky tonight on that first storm. But as we go through time, there's an error, that does happen, like a butterfly effect. I-40, though, it's like in that little area here of 60 plus miles per hour. 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, 5, 6, so things kind of calm down. And then the secondary round comes in. There's lunchtime, and it actually gets much more on the damaging wind side once we get past 1 o'clock as it moves toward Tulsa. It likes this area up around the Tulsa area. Let's see, Tulsa County up around 75 miles per hour or so. So get some damaging winds with those clusters of storms in the morning that move through by early afternoon. And then, again, southwest Oklahoma with those new development of storms, more damaging wind possible with those. Now, you can see it's not like a widespread deal, but if you get hit by some of that stuff, you're going to know it, right? Okay, so back to the radar here. Let me see what we got. Oh, I wanted to check something out. Okay. All right, so let's just see if there's any change on this particular developing tornado. And it looks like it's already, the original one has already weakened considerably. Yeah, see there it was right there, the little, see a little circle, little yellow circle. So that's where it started to get detected. The little triangle is a tornado vortex signature, which means it's confirmed on the radar. And then as we go through time, it's there. One more frame we talked about. There was a secondary one up here that formed briefly for one scan. Let's see, that scan continued for one more time, and then now it's gone. Both of them are gone. So they don't last long. We were doing our live cut-in the last time around. Some of them lasted for one scan, that was it, and that was over. So it's very difficult to warn for these QL-type tornadoes. But it looks like we had like a little brief cluster there south of Indiahoma. So stay in your shelters if you do live around the Cache area. This is east of Manitou, so southwest of Medicine Park. Probability of a tornado is now down to 51%. At one point it was quite a bit higher, I think 80 or even 90, I think, at some point. Highest we've seen today, but that was back when it had winds of 120 miles per hour, and I think that just fooled the algorithms and they just didn't know what to do with that, so they just triggered. Let's see here. We'll stay here for another second, make sure not another one forms. If so, I'll give you the address, the intersection, and then take it from there. So here's there might be one here forming at this intersection. Once again, the County Line Road, which is 2330, and East Road 1650, that little intersection. There's a little bit of a couplet there. There might be another little weak one here trying to form southwest of town. Let's see. Southwest 257th and West Gore Boulevard. That would be the secondary one that's trying to form. And notice I said trying. They haven't done it yet. Let's see. Anything else? There's actually even one here, kind of a weak one. It might be the old residual circulation. So this is kind of unfortunately when you're doing QLCS tornadoes, you kind of have to do it like this, where you watch minute by minute and watch one go up and then they fall apart. Then you watch the second one, then it falls apart. So let's see what happens here over the next couple more scans. Okay, so while we wait for the next scan, there's one there. Those still those two areas. All right. You can do that. Yeah, even has a triangle on one. All right. So basically, we're just waiting to see if one forms southwest of Indiahoma. The other one is already weakened. It's right here in the middle, this little spot where I put my little cursor, right on Old Highway, whatever that said, 62. But it's already fallen apart. So neither one are overly impressive. But these things will spin up really fast, and then they're gone, and they're mostly weak. Like these QLCS type tornadoes are usually like an EF0 to maybe EF1 category on the Fujita scale. So that's the good news. They're rare to get any stronger than that, very rare, and they still last on the order of seconds to maybe sometimes at worst case a couple of minutes. They don't have the same dynamic structure that forms supercell tornadoes from a mesocyclone, which kind of allows it to stay more long-lived, or at least the ability or potential to be. These are transient little brief updraft-induced vortexes that just come and go. Almost like a dust devil. If you're outside and you're at a park or whatever and you see a dust devil go up and then it's there one minute and it's gone the next, and it just came out of nowhere, that's kind of like a QLCS tornado. All right, latest deal on this one. Probability of a tornado still holding at 54%. Okay. Otherwise, I would have signed off a little bit earlier already, but I wanted to check for potential tornadoes with this one. Those wind speeds are actually pretty strong coming out of Indiahoma. Let's see. Let me see if this one will pick those up. Oh, I think I know what I need to do here. There we go. Whoa. Okay. So this is up around 77 miles per hour. So that's pretty substantial. So even though you might not see a tornado in the town, looks like you're going to get this wall of wind coming at you. And let me de-alias this because this has left the scale. We've actually missing some data. It's actually gotten worse. 88 miles per hour. Let me see if this one fills in the hole. It does not. Radar is struggling. Let's see, where are we at? We're at 1,200 feet elevation. So you're going to have to take about at least 10% off of that value. Biggest value I have looks like is 85. So you're still looking at 75 mile per hour winds. So remember, that can do as much damage. If you can get that low end threshold around 80, that's like having a small tornado like an EF0. But the winds are picking up here. Let me go through time. Yeah, see how they kind of came out of nowhere? See, watch this guy for the triangle. See that? Now, as I go through time, look how that blows up with the pink and the orange. Let's see, both of these are still up around 70. They're 77. So you guys in Indiahoma, it's not so much right now a tornado threat you have to deal with. You have to deal with the damaging wind threat from straight line winds that's moving through right now. Heaviest winds on the west side of town and also about 1.5 miles south of town. So you're kind of split in between. So believe it or not, the strongest went in between you. So you got lucky. You're kind of in the middle. Let's see, worst winds, there's 80. So again, you're looking at about low 70s as far as ground level. Now that's nothing compared to the winds we had earlier. That's for sure. But it's still pretty strong. You guys in cash, you're going to get some of the winds if they're still holding on, coming into your direction. You may not see these type of winds, but you'll still get some gusty winds. All right, so again, you're on a tornado warning for this area for Indiahoma. The movement to the, I think it was to the northeast, yep, at 23. So it's radar indicated, max hail size under 1 inch, and wind speeds, we're guessing here, up around 70 to 80 miles per hour. Locations: Cache, Indiahoma, southwestern Fort Sill, and the southwestern Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge. So, let's see what else we got. Just this for now. All right, so now, strongest winds. There's a bounce around everywhere. Now we're at 92 miles per hour. So you use, even if you took 10% off the top of that, you're still looking at 80 what? 4 miles per hour. Let's see. And that is at 1,200 feet elevation. So what the Weather Service did is that they actually moved the track of, what would have been a tornado is now a pocket of damaging winds. Same kind of idea, same kind of damage you watch out for. By the way, this is on the south side of town, and road-wise, the strongest winds, India Homer Road that runs due south. And I was trying to get that cross street that's not showing up here. Sometimes the streets don't show up, sometimes they do. I don't know why. Grassland Avenue, it's south of that one, the main one that runs south and east out of town. Let me see if this map will do it. All right. Did that say Big Bow? It did say Big Bow. See the other, and that's Southwest Big Bow. I guess the other radar map didn't have that one. Southwest Brady Road and West Gore. That's what it was. All right, so those big winds have now moved south and east of that area. So that's now pressed south and east of town. So Cash, you're next in line if these winds still hold together. And we're looking at about 84, 85. So the good news is they haven't gotten any stronger than that. So since this is a straight line damaging wind event, I'll just hang on for a little while longer before we wrap things up. Let's see here. Anything else of interest? No. All right. What is going on up in northern Oklahoma? I'm curious. There's a warning out here. Let me see what this looks like. Just a severe thunderstorm warning, but seeing if it was a small cell, and it was a very small cell. It was probably for that one. And it's dead. That's why. It's like, I don't see much in that box. So I had to go investigate. All right, anyway, you guys up there in northwest Oklahoma, again, you're still fine. It's just rain, lightning, a little bit of small hail and wind. So let's go back down to where the action is, southwest Oklahoma. Oh, what is it doing that for? Ugh, so over it. So over technical difficulties. You guys don't know, but I know. It's frustrating. Let's see. All right. Let's see. The winds are still holding up on that one. Let's go to this data. Cash, you're next in line. You've got, looks like at least 50 to 60 mile per hour winds at a minimum coming in. Again, no tornado. No tornado has been sighted. The tornado warning continues, but it's mainly just for these straight line winds. Oh, Weather Service just said we'll allow the tornado warning to expire. So rather than cancel it, they're just going to allow it to expire. This kind of covers the straight line winds anyway, so it's kind of a 2-for-1. All right, the winds are not getting any more carried away. As a matter of fact, looks like they're a little bit weaker than what they were a few minutes ago. So the strongest winds is running east and west south of Highway 62 by about 2 miles. That's where the strongest winds are. It's in all these little pink highlighted areas. And where you see these little orange ones, they jump up. Ooh, there's a 92. The rest of these are in the 70s to 80s. And then just out of nowhere, let's do the 92. So for damaging straight line winds, when it's up to like 100 miles per hour, is that any different from, what you do from a tornado? And not really. It's about the same. You just want to get away from all outside walls and windows, because obviously that kind of stuff can break the glass, and what it'll really do is just knock a bunch of tree limbs and small trees and use them as projectiles. And of course that can go through a window. And if you're not in a very well structured housing unit, well, that could go through a wall. So you got to be away from that kind of stuff. So, if you've got a west side of the house and you get a west damaging wind from the west, which is what's going to happen here in this case, kind of a west-southwest direction, just don't be on that side of the house. Be on the opposite side. And then that way, if anything does happen, you got that little cushion to protect you. All right, let's see what else we got here. I think I'm about to this. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold that thought. There's still a little bit of residual circulation right here at the end of this little yellow line for the track line for that tornado warning. So if there were to be a tornado still, I can't even pronounce that. Neugebauer. It almost sounds German. Yeah. Neugebauer Drive and Northwest Post Oak Road. That is the what would be the residual circulation of a QLCS tornado. And you do have the winds that are rotating around the bottom side of this. So it's probably just a big mesocyclone. Probably has a wall cloud with it if you were to look at it. Might even have like a little, maybe occasional funnel. But the biggest winds are south of there. May just be like a little vortex. All right. Anything else? These winds are now down around 60, and we're at 1,300 feet, so they've dropped quite a bit. So, Cash, you're kind of getting lucky here. Looks like most of the damaging winds have dropped off considerably. All right. Let's do my last little look here. I think we're going to close that. Strongest winds on the south side of Cache, and the most I've got here is 70 miles per hour. Cache itself looking at about 60, 65 briefly on the northwest side of town. Now the new data has it on the southeast side of town around 68 miles per hour. Let's see here. That is on Northwest Cache Road and east of South Crater Creek Road. So a little damaging straight line wind event continues. over the cache area. The tornado warning has expired. Back down here in Vernon, let's see what's happening. Another storm. Interesting look to it. So this will have some big hail with it. That's about all it's got right now. Okay, so it looks like everything's kind of winding back down again, so that's good. All right, so that's it for me as far as the live coverage goes, because I don't expect these things to do anything more crazy, at least in the short term, and I gotta obviously get out of here. So appreciate you guys watching tonight. We'll have more storms overnight tomorrow, and then tomorrow night, and then wrapping up by early Thursday morning, and then that's it. And then I did not look at the extended outlook to see if anything comes from that little northwest flow trigger on Friday. I'll look at that later, and then the weekend I'll look at that later as well. So I gotta get caught up. Okay, guys, have a great night. Thanks again for watching, liking, sharing the video, telling your friends and family about AT's weather, and getting my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. And make sure you like the videos so that the algorithms know that you're interested. All right, you guys take care, sleep well, be safe. Talk soon. Bye bye.